Continuing with the explanation of the functionalities of the Voyager applications, we are coming to the recording step, which is actually a very important feature of the whole applications. The main purpose of this step is to show us the recordings and the actual manipulation and working with the data recorded by the system. There are 4 general types of data that are being recorded by the Voyager application: triggered events, scheduled events, ring buffer, and manual recording. All of those events, except the ring buffer, are actually recordings that are initiated either manually or by setting up some kind of a trigger or scheduling them. Ring buffer is the most interesting of them because it is allowing us to view and preview the data that has been recorded from the system on a 24/7 basis. If you remember when we described the system settings ring buffer section, we set the days of the ring buffer to be kept in memory. This is the actual location and place where we can see the recorded data. The Voyager system is designed in that way that all the data are recorded into a 10-minute intervals, which means that at any time, at any hour, we can extract the actual 10-minute period that we are interested in. On the top right corner, there is a combo box showing us that we can see the days, and we can go back to the desired day if that is enabled as a functionality. For the moment, we see only the current day because this is the day when we created the group and when we actually added the sensors. After a week from now, we can be able to see all the 7 days in the ring buffer if the 7-day ring buffer duration is being configured that way. If we select the current day, we can see number of records here with different colors. That means that at some point of time, we did not have all the sensors connected, but usually what we would like to expect is to see all of this with green color. Green color means that my 10-minute period is full with data and we do not have any data missing. So for example, if we focus on this period, we can say that UTC time from 1:10 p.m. to 1:20 p.m. and we can focus on this 10-minute duration period. The status is saved, which means that this period of data is currently saved into our database, and we can proceed to previewing or doing some simple analysis of this data. Several buttons are available here, meaning that we can download the data in RAW format. RAW format for Digitex systems applications means that we can download the data in mini-SID binary format, but also the data can be downloaded in an ASCII file format, meaning that textual based with comma separated values will be generated and can be opened with any third-party application like Excel or whatever is being used by the end customers. If we would like to do a quick preview of this recorded data, we simply can do that by pressing the preview button. By pressing on the preview button, a new pop-up window is opening and it is showing all data from all the selected period. You can see that we have a dispersion of the data of the graphics. That's because that we are combining horizontal types of acceleration data together with a vertical ones, and they are dispersed in the range from 0 up to almost 1000 centimeters per second square, which clearly indicate that we have channels here that oscillate around G, which are actually our 2 vertical channels from the 2 accelerometers. In order to see them all on the same line, the standard method called the trending is being used. So by pressing that button, we can simply see immediately all the data oscillating around 0. Then we can use standard features like zoom in or zoom out to see the data that is being recorded. Or we can just simply disable or enable some of the devices and focus on one particular channel. Additionally, we can use some filtering methods present here, meaning that we can hide all or show all data, all channels instantaneously. And there are some additional checkboxes here, meaning that if we had a velocity type of channels or temperature type of channels, we can do the filtering per those types also. Separate button means that we can see each channel in a separate chart for clearly comparison and easy viewing, and we can also do some zooming and zoom outs here. Additional tab is shown here on the preview window called frequency, which means that we can see the FFT spectrum from each channel. So clearly we can see the data here, and we can see that we have some around 5 Hz frequency coming from our table at which we are doing all these tests. So frequency spectrum is shown here for all channels, and the same filtering and the same configuration methods apply here as the ones from the time domain that we already saw. Additionally, if we are not satisfied with what we are seeing from the preview window, we can use another window which is called Analyze, which is basically showing some additional analysis types on our data. Besides the FFT spectrum that we already saw and the time histories of all that, we can see the integration and see the actual velocities for each channel. We can see another integration and see the actual displacements for each channel. We can see the FFT spectrum like we already saw. Additionally, here we can see the power spectral density and simplified table showing all the peak acceleration, peak velocity, and peak displacement values from each channel at each timestamp as they happen. So this is a nice table that is good and can be used for additional analysis. So this was the description of the ring buffer functionality with which I actually started first. There is another feature that we implemented into the Voyager application, meaning that I can do a recording within interval. What actually this means is that I can do a custom type of recording, actually extract custom time range of data from the database with a desired period. This can be 1 minute, this can be 3 minutes, this can be 15 minutes, or even more, several hours, depending on the size of the system and depending on the number of the channels. This feature can work on that in order to extract the desired period. For the sake of the demonstration and of the purposes, I can just tell the system that I would like to do a recording, let's say within this period from 12 up to the 13th second. So I will just use the time indicator here, and I will say from 1:12 p.m. up to 1:13 p.m. We also have the possibility here which channels to include or exclude from this custom recording. Again, if I press custom types, I can say I would like to have only the acceleration channels if we have a setting like that, or I can just say I would like to extract only the channels from the first sensors, meaning that I will select just channels 1, 2, and 3. So I will have a custom recording of 1 minute only containing the channels 1, 2, 3, actually the first 3 channels. Once I press the generate button, the system will start recording, and we saw several information. This here told us that PDF file was not generated. That is the reason for that is that the miscellaneous settings were limiting the maximum time per duration for PDF to 60 seconds, and that's actually what we did here. Either way, once the generation is done, we can do a preview here, and we can see that we have a record here only with 3 channels, actually those channels that we selected. Then here we can use again the same analysis and functionalities that we already saw before. Additionally, we can download this data in miniset format, and we can download the ASCII textual file containing the actual data. While we explain the ring buffer functionalities and how to preview and make a in-depth analysis of the recorded data from the ring buffer, we have additional of 3 types of recordings, which I actually mentioned previously. Those are the manual recording, the scheduled events, and the triggered events. I'm going to start explaining with the triggered and manual recording events, but before that, I will just schedule a new event. So while we wait for that one to finish, we can explain all the others. Scheduled events means that we can schedule in the future at any time we like event of duration as per our need. For example, I would like to create a scheduled recording, and I will name it test, and I will say now the current time is 1:44 and 40 seconds p.m. and I will say I will start recording from 46 up to 47. Scheduled recordings means that I have this information here, and also the dashboard now shows that my next recording is going to happen starting from around 1 minute from now. While we wait for that one to be recorded, we can go to triggered and manual. Triggered events, we already made a couple of triggers and we easily saw the records here. The preview and analyze of the data is basically the same windows that we actually saw before, with one small difference that when we talk about trigger, scheduled and manual recording, we have an additional button called PDF showing us the automatically generated PDF report. This is the report that is being actually automatically sent to the number of users if we enable the email notification in the trigger settings. So everything else is the same that we already saw. For example, this is the preview, and we can see that this is where my trigger happened. And I can see that pre-event is 10 seconds and my post-event is 10 seconds. So this is actually a 20-second long file. If I click on the PDF, then my PDF event will be reported, the PDF file actually, and I can easily open it in any browser. I can see here my channels, I can see here my information, I can see when this trigger happened, I can see at which channel the trigger has occurred, and also additionally, as I already mentioned, the intensity per the Mercalli scale is being calculated for each channel based on the peak acceleration value. Additionally, we calculate the peak velocity and peak displacement values, and we calculate the peak-to-peak maximum values for each channel. This is handy and this is very useful for someone to do a quick analysis after some particular event. That can be an earthquake, but that can be any type of event that will trigger our system. Going to the manual recording, its own name says that we can do manual recording and we can do records on demand as we like. This is especially useful when we use portable equipment and when we do measurements during field tests of measuring some building or maybe some bridge. So the process is started by clicking on this button, and I can easily tell the system that I would like to have a recording of 10 seconds, and I will add a description here called test. Once I press the start button, my system will start recording data, and after 10 seconds the data will be finished. So we can see that all these buttons are disabled, and we're gonna wait for the event to be finished. Now it's finished. We see the status change to finish. We see the duration of 10 seconds, and automatic generation of PDF is also done. So I can just do a preview of what I have recorded here. For the sake of demonstration, I'm gonna repeat this, and I'm gonna start doing some taps on the table so we can see that the data is being recorded immediately as we are talking now. So let's just wait for this one to be finished, and we'll take a quick look at that file. So immediately we can go to the preview, and we can see all the taps that I did on the table by showing the real data from the accelerometers recorded. Analyze is the same button. We can even delete this record from the database and it will be available no more. And additionally, we can download this PDF from this manual recording here, and we can see basically the same information that we saw. The advantage is that we can easily distribute this data by downloading the raw data or downloading the ASCII file and send to whatever is needed, whoever is needed to do the analysis after that. So time has passed, and I think that our scheduled event is already finished. Yes, we can see that 60 seconds. Default duration for scheduled recording is 1 minute, so this one is already recorded. Again, we do not have PDF recorded because of that limitation, but we can easily, same as the others, download the raw data or download the ASCII file, or simply go with the preview and see what happened during that period of time. This is handy for scheduled events when we know and we have situation when we would like, let's say, for example, for reporting purposes, to schedule recordings every first of the month or every Monday. So I would like to have a recording and safely keep all those data to my database for further analysis and further processing. So having this, I can just add at the end that the duration for this scheduled recording that I already said is 1 minute can be easily configured by pressing on this button, so we can set any duration that we like. Having explained the recordings functionality, we can move on with the Voyager application and explain the other tabs and functionalities. You can see here that there is a button called OMA, which actually stands for Operational Model Analysis. That is actually a feature that is being integrated into the Voyager application, and what actually does, it's an automatic model analysis feature, which means that we can configure this system. This is applying for permanently installed system, and if we create a geometry file, if you create a complete setup for model analysis for that building, if that's the example, we can tell the system to automatically monitor for specific frequencies and specific model shapes or specific damping ratios, and more important, to alarm us if some of those features, natural frequencies or damping ratios, are being changed over time. Once that detection is being made, the system will send a notification. So this is a really advanced type of triggering feature that actually goes to the depth of the structure by doing automatic model analysis feature. The logs functionality is basically a nice and textual view of what is happening to our system at all the times. All the activities that we have been doing during this whole demonstration are being written in the log, and we can easily see who did, when, and what did he change for the system. So whenever we do changes on the system settings, whenever we do changes on the trigger settings, all that is written to the logs with simple purpose that we can go back in history and see what was happening to our system if we, for example, notice some strange issues. Otherwise, it's always good to keep the log clean, and we always would like to have the log clean, meaning that there are no unwanted activities on the system once it is firstly set up and configured initially. So browsing the logs can happen by any day, same as with the ring buffer, and we can additionally download each of these logs as a textual log file to the system.